Today I'm talking about self-parenting yourself, obviously, because there's a self-parenting yourself and inner child work. So this is for anyone who struggles with their emotions, who has challenges maybe with depression, with anxiety, with lack of joy, with suppression of their voice, of their expression. What most people do is most people actually go on their journey after they start suffering. So something happens, they start to feel bad, they go on their journey and they decide to either try and get physically healthy or maybe improve their mind. Like, oh, maybe if I do some affirmations, that'll help. Maybe if I help my subconscious mind, or maybe if I eat organic food or some more vegetables or whatever it is. The next step is often spirituality, so they'll dive into some spiritual practice because they realize that they need more than that. They still feel fundamentally the same. They're still suffering with something. Okay, well now I got to do some meditation maybe, or I got to start yoga or whatever it is. And then often, if the development is heading in the right direction, they'll finally get to a point where they go, my emotional body. I've spent so much time on my physical, my mental, my spiritual, but I've left my emotional body, and the emotional body is the one thing that is crying out for your time and attention. And this is the main focus of my one-on-one training, is emotional healing, because that's where the real pain is, and that's where it all started back when we were 2, 3, 4 years old. We come into a society that isn't very emotionally adaptable, interested, accepting. Most of the family units, most of education system, society doesn't heavily focus on emotional development. It's mainly be smart, achieve your goals, and eat up your food. It's physical, mental. Spiritual is left to the side, but people are becoming very spiritually aware now, but the emotional part is still really lacking. And this is where self-parenting and inner child work is one of the things that can support the emotional body. So there is a book like this, Self-Parenting, or like this, Inner Bonding. And these are books that can be used to start the journey of actually healing some emotional wounds. So for example, well, let's just talk about what is the inner child. The inner child is like your essence. It's the part of your consciousness that is so pure, so vulnerable, so open, so accepting, like you were all of that when you came into this world. And there's such a level of purity to that part of us. But the world, unfortunately, doesn't keep that purity. So it starts to get tainted by a lot of constriction and a lot of fear. So then when this new young born child comes in, that fear almost gets projected and pushed onto that. And it's like it happens generation after generation to generation. Unless your parents have done a lot of emotional cleansing, personal development, a lot of meditation, cleansing of the mind, cleansing of their patterns from their parents, most likely they just donated that, not so good stuff to you. But that's okay. It's up to us now to break the chain. Some of us got gifted, potentially better parents. Other people, not so good. But in my opinion, we all choose our life path for the journey that we want, for the expression that we're here to express, to bring forth, to learn to love through that experience. So that's the journey that we're all on. And it's that part of you, the inner child part, that is so pure, but then it was sort of tainted, and we have to push it down when we're younger often, because it's too dangerous. If we're so pure and open and expressed, even by the age of, say, 15, when we're going to school, but people are calling us names, or people are saying this, or judgments are coming in, or who's cool, who's not cool, is someone listening to me? No, they're talking about me behind my back, or whatever it is. You can't be that emotionally open. It's too painful. So we have to somewhat close off from that experience. But then when we become adults, we can go through this process of reparenting ourselves. We actually become the parent of our part of our consciousness that is like our inner child. So think about yourself as, say, a 2-year-old. Even look at photos of yourself when you're 2. Watch the expression on your face. Look at the joy. Look at the expression you had. That part of consciousness is still inside you. It's probably just buried under many, many different layers. So diving into self-parenting and inner child work is about sort of taking off those layers of the onion, peeling them back, until you can reconnect with your inner child. And your inner child, that part of your consciousness that is just very innocent, very pure, can actually have a voice, can have its needs met. Often when we were younger, our emotional needs weren't met because our parents weren't meeting their own emotional needs in themselves, and their parents didn't meet their emotional needs. So it's just a generational to generational thing. The way to break that, way to break the karma, to break that bond, to break that train that's got so much momentum just driving generationally with subconscious patterns, fear-based patterns, is to bring deep awareness into yourself and also bring it into your inner child, the experience of what that depth, that part of me that's so vulnerable, so innocent. Most likely, if you're watching this, a lot of inner childs, a lot of maybe your inner child is going to be angry. Maybe your inner child's going to be deeply sad, deeply numb. When I got in contact with my inner child, I actually saw a vision. And, this was a while ago, and it was like, I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I was in a corner, and I was hunched over, and I was crying. And I was sad. I was deeply, deeply sad. I was hurt. Nothing really negative or intense happened when I was growing up, but just my emotional needs weren't met on the level that I would have hoped for. And pretty much no one's is. Okay? Like, it's very rare to have parents that really can meet the emotional needs of a newborn. It's very, very rare. So we all have some protection inside of us. So going on this journey, it's time to reparent ourselves. And if you want to dive into like one-on-one sessions, we can do this. I do a lot of emotional healing and a lot of emotional work. You can also dive into a few books about inner child work, about reparenting yourself. I'll make more videos on this if you're interested. Put a comment down below if you are interested. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, or on transformation, transformational health, subconscious mind, trauma release, the nervous system, and whatever else fancies you. This is the area and arena that I've dived into for the last 8 or 9 years of my life. That's all from me on inner child and reparenting yourself. Just to bring it into your awareness, if you've never heard of this before, I really recommend you start to tap into different parts of yourself, because there's multiple different parts of yourself running the show. It's like a big concert, a big play of different archetypes that pop in every so often. And when you start to get to know the different types, you can actually start to listen to them all, and they can all be heard, and then they can all start to work together. And it's like you reclaiming your consciousness. You bring yourself back home rather than rejecting different parts of yourself. So let's all reclaim ourselves. Let's all dive into this together and journey well. Speak to you in the next video. Bye for now.